I tried to recreate Netflix login UI using HTML and CSS, and this is what I'm up to. So here we have the email input, so we can input our email address, and then we have the password input, and then the sign in button. So over here we have the checkbox, remember me, and then here we have the new to Netflix sign up. So in this video I'll be showing you how I created this from scratch. So I've already linked the CSS with the HTML. So now let's start the structure. So we have the div, the empty div with the class background. So after that we have the div. So this div will serve as the overlay. So let's give it a class overlay. So inside this div we are going to have the h1 tag, which is the logo. Let's give it a class logo. So inside the h1 let's write Netflix. So after the h1 tag we are going to have the form. Let's give it a class form. So inside the form we have the h3, which is the sign in. After that we have the input field with the placeholder email or phone number. So let's put the required. So this field will be required for every user. So we have the second input field. So the type, the password, the placeholder is password, and then add the required. So after that we have the sign button. So after the button we have a div that contains the tags. The tag also contains the checkbox. So the checkbox with the name, remember me. So after the after the p tag, so we have another attribute tag, which is need help. So and then we have another attribute tag over, which is new to Netflix. Sign up now. So here there should be a big tag here. So this will be inside the big tag. And then let's close the big tag at the end of this page. So let's save. So that's all about the HTML structure. So now let's style all this in CSS. But before we start, let's check the preview. So this is the HTML preview. So now let's come to the CSS file. So let's start the body. So let's add the height of 100 vh. So the display flex transfer content center align items center. So and then we have the background color of black. So after we need to style the background, that means the background image. So let's give the height of 100%, the width of 100%, and then the background of your let's use the image. So let's add the no repeat center and then center cover. Then let's add the filter and the brightness and 50%, and then the position absolute and the z index will be 1. So as you can see, we already have the background. So now let's style our, so let's come back to the overlay. So for this overlay, we have this position, we have the z index 2. So now we already have our content over here. So now let's style it properly too. So first let's start the logo. Here let's come to the logo. Let's give the font family, the font size of 34 pixels and the color red, position absolute left 50 pixels and then top 50 pixels. So to this overlay, let's add the display flex, just find contents, center, align items, center, the height, the width 100%, and then the height 100%, and then position positive. So let's see come back to the page. So our logo is now looking good. So now let's start the form section. So let's come over here. So now let's start with the heading. So that means the h1 tag. So over here use the h3, sorry, h3. So here we have the color white, font weight 700, and then font size 26 pixels. So now let's start the form. So let's add the background color black, the text color white, the border radius 15 pixel, and then the width, let's use 350 pixel. So now let's add some padding. Let's add the 20 pixel from the left and right from one side. So now let's type the input section and the button and the other text. So over here, let's add some class to this. So let's use the class input. Let's see, I'll come back to the web page. So let's add the input. So let's use the background color. Let's use gray, but let's edit the gray. Let's make it more darker. So let's use the color white. Border radius 10 pixel. Border no outline no height of 40 pixel. So let's use the width 100%. So the margin from the bottom is 20 pixel. So to this H3, let's add the margin to the bottom 10 pixel. So now let's start the button. Split flex, align items, center, justify content, center, margin 10 pixel auto. I mean 10 pixel from top and bottom and auto from the left and right. Let's add the border none. So the width 100%, and then the height 40 pixel. Color white. Background color red. Font width 500. So let's add some border radius 10 pixel. So to the bottom, let's add some over text. So let's add the background color red, but let's use the red with the darker shade. So here let's add the cursor pointer. So now we already have the over effect. So now let's start this text under the form. So let's come back to this HTML file. So this is the container. So let's create a class container. Let's copy it. and then come back to the, let's do the display flex, align items, center, justify content, space between. So now let's style the p tag. So let's do the display flex, margin top 10 pixel. So let's start this link. So here you just need to add the adaptability attribute and then the color white, text decoration no. So let's add some over effects. So let's add the text decoration, underline. So whenever we hover on this, so it will show the underline button. So let's add some padding to this input section. So let's come back to the input. So here we have the padding 10 pixel. So this is the end of the video. Subscribe to this channel to get notified on our next video. So we upload every week, and then if you have any question, let me know in the comment section.